guys? Recently online, I'd heard a guy say he hadn't seen a good, solid review for the BRS Replicant. Personally, I've seen a couple unboxing videos, which I think is more a benefit to the person making the video out of their excitement. And I've seen a couple first impressions where it was just a guy pretty much going bonkers with a Replicant in his hands. Doesn't really show you much or tell you much. But I wanted to throw out some specs, answer a couple questions that I've gotten recently, and just kind of clear up some things about the BRS Replicant. Start off with some specs. First off, really long knife. You got a 10-inch knife overall length, 5.5-inch long handles, G10 scales over titanium liners, nice beefy spacer down here. Of course, you have a latch. It is a floppy latch, but BRS designs their latches with a triangular shape, so it's not gonna stall you up. It's gonna ricochet right off. If it was attached, I could show you what it ricochets right off. It never gets hung up, so that's a good design. But I'm just not a fan of latches, so I'd take mine off anyways. But anyways, you got a 4.5-inch blade, so it's a really long knife. Zen pins, you got a nice big bushing system. I have it set out here. 3/16 pivots. This is what you'd usually find in a Benchmade, but BRS has a 1/4-inch bushing around that. So what that leaves you with is next to no play at all. That's what I'm getting out of these handles. And this has been flipped quite a bit. And that's, you really can't even see it. That's all the play I'm getting out of these handles. So that's a big plus. And that little bit of play with that kind of free swinging action. So that's a big plus. Very smooth knife. Very, very smooth with minimal play, and it's not going to develop much play. I really like the design of it. The Zen pins are really nice. It doesn't leave you that tang pin to worry about. Now, I've said it before, you have a tang pin that's done well, it can last you a lifetime, or it can fly out of the knife in a week worth of flipping. With the Zen pins, you just don't have to worry about it. They're completely serviceable. Not that I've ever seen a Zen pin fail, but if it were to fail, it's completely serviceable. Unlike a tang pin where you have to press in a new one, get a new blade, it's a big pain in the butt. A Zen pin would not be that too hard. It would not be too hard to fix. So overall, I like it. BRS likes to weight the back of their knife, so you wouldn't call this a neutral flipper. It's going to carry over rollovers really well. Chaplains, it's going to stick to your finger really well. Unlike a smaller, lighter knife like the 51, you're really going to have to play catch up doing your chaplains. With this, it's going to roll around and stick to your finger really nice. Also, these chevrons, really nice. Let you know where you are on the knife. Down here, if you're around the worlds and stuff, your fingers sink in real nice. So every little design feature has been thought of here. Really nice to flip. Some cons about the knife. Like I said, I really don't like the floppy latch. It doesn't get hung up, so if you do like to flip the latches, it's not that big of a deal. But I like to go latchless with all my knives. The Zen pins are a little bit bouncy compared to a knife, with a tang pin. It's going to absorb that impact. The Zen pins on this knife, because you have all this handle to it and how meaty and thick, and it does have some flex, it's going to leave a little bouncing when you twirl. So you're going to feel that bouncing if you're used to a tang pin knife. Now, if you're not used to anything, you probably really won't even notice. But if you are used to a tang pin, you're going to feel that bounce when you twirl. Like everybody that knows our replicants knows the tip problem. And you can see how different my stock tip is, my mint unflipped with my flipper. And like I said, those of you who know your replicants know why. Now, static, it's got plenty of clearance between the tip of the knife and this spacer. Now, when the knife is dropped and the handle flexes, the blade flexes, that Zen pin gets put under stress, the earlier models, the tip does contact that spacer. And now, I guarantee you can't see it with this lighting or my focus, but there's about 6 good marks inside my spacer where the tip hit from me dropping it, and that resulted in me losing my tip twice. So after reprofiling it twice and kind of getting tired of it, I took it to a belt sander and just took that scorpion rounded top part, I just took that straight off, so I had a lot more clearance. Now that's a big complaint. That's just something that shouldn't happen. But I don't know if that's happening on the later knives, but this being my first replicant, and I know this was one of the earlier runs, it was a problem with it. Now with my mint one, like I said, I haven't really flipped it, haven't dropped it, so I couldn't tell you if the newer ones are having that type of problem. But I haven't been hearing about it as much, so take that for what it is. I know actually BRS, being a great company that they are, said send your knife right in, they'll take a look at it. If it is a problem, they'll clear it up right away. Obviously, I mean, the guys at BRS are absolutely great with warranty. My last video, I talked about my awesome warranty experience with them. So if you ever have any problems, you send it right in the BRS and they'll take care of it 100%. But that's just something that, coming from the factory, you know, that's definitely a complaint. Now, as far as guys asking what should they get, the Replicant or the G10 51, for me it's a no-brainer. The BRS being 5 ounces, 4.95 ounces, and the G10 51 being 3.3 ounces. I mean, 3.3 is just not enough. Now, I know a lot of guys flip the G10 51. They love it. They're used to it. Well, I'm not. I mean, like I said, your different knives are going to flip different for different people because we have different preferences. Now, I can't handle a knife that light. When you make the smallest misstep in your fingers, you're going to send that knife out of whack. Now, the Replicant's going to be a little more forgiving. It's heavier, it's longer, so you can make a little bit of mistake and the knife's still going to continue on its path. Now, with balisongs, there's always a trade-off. Now, see that really light knife, it's going to twirl like lightning. But like I said, you're going to have to be super precise with your rollovers. You're going to have to add momentum to them yourself. Now, with a heavier, longer knife, it is going to roll over easier, but it's going to take more force to get it there. A heavier knife's going to bite you harder. So you always have your trade-offs with the balisongs. Like I was talking about the Zen pins. With the Zen pins, you don't have to worry about the tang pin falling out, but you do get that bounce to it. So like I said, there's always a trade-off with your balisong. So either you want to go really super light and have that lightning quick twirler, but have to add that momentum with your rollovers, or you have a heavier knife, and that's going to take a little more force to get it there. It's going to bite hard, so it's up to you. So asking the question which one flips better is so subjective. I mean, it's almost impossible to answer. But personally, for me, between the G10 51 and the G10 Replicant, it's a no-brainer. It's the Replicant all the way. It's longer, it's got more weight, it's balanced better. It's just a better knife to me, and for about $50 more, it's well worth it, what you get with the Replicant versus the G10 51. Now, the Titanium 51, we're getting much closer to a match. The Titanium scales, I have a loose set here. They bring the 51 from 3.3 up to about 4.4. Now, that's more along the lines of a 42. The legendary 42, and it's a legend for good reason. Weighted, balanced, almost perfectly. I mean, for some people it is perfect. So you're getting more along the lines of a perfect weight, but you still have that really short length. So if the length doesn't bother you, and you can deal with something that's that short and thin, which I don't have a problem with at all. 5-inch handles are fine to me. I mean, they are on the short side, but I learned to flip on this. So it's what I'm used to. This is what you'll see in my flipping videos. So if you can deal with the handle length being 5 inches, the Titanium 51 is going to be a great knife for you. Now, the problem being the Titanium 51 is going to run you about $350. With the $270 for a Replicant, money starts to become an issue. Now, as far as value of a flipper goes, again, the Replicant's going to win that. $270, it's technically going to outflip that Titanium 51. But the Titanium 51, being $350, is still an amazing flipper. Like I said, you're going to see this in my flipping videos, so I almost prefer this over the Replicant. But that's because I flipped it more. I have more practice with this. So, to be honest with you guys, I think if I had the same amount of practice with these two knives, I think I would be choosing the Replicant. I think I would be better with the Replicant, because it's longer, it's got more weight, it's balanced better. But because I've had more practice with the Titanium 51, that's what you're going to see me flip more. Now you can see I have some of the 51 parts out over here. The really the small 3/16 pivot, and you know the Benchmade has no bushing like BRS does, so your 51 is going to have a decent amount of play. That's a good amount of play right there. But it's not so much that your flipping is going to turn the crap over it. I mean, this is what play the 42 has. A lot of the older knives, the Archangel, same pivot system. So that amount of play is perfectly fine, but it's not like your new age flippers that have almost no play. Um, Another thing about the 51, it does have Zen pins as well, but they do feel less bouncy, I think, because you have less weight in the handles. You have less force to ricochet off of those Zen pins, so it does feel less bouncy. But the weight's right on the money. I mean, 4.4 without my latch. This is coming in at about 4.3. But that to me is a perfectly weighted knife, around mid fours. The Replicant is getting on the heavy side up to 5 ounces, but this is weighted perfect, nice and thin. The handles are smaller, so fanning's a lot easier. They're thinner, so fanning's a lot easier. It feels better between your fingers. To me, this knife's more comfortable. But like I said, on paper, this being the longer, better balanced knife, technically will flip better. I mean, I know that I can't give you a definitive answer of what flips better, but that's just how I see the question of which knife should I get. I mean, personally, I'm not going to be able to tell you which one to get, and I know it's hard to tell a guy saving up a couple $100 for his first battle saw to get both, but that's really the only way you're going to know, is to have both of them in front of you and flip them at the same time. Yeah, that's how you're going to figure out your preferences. That's how you're going to figure out what you like. Because if you get one or the other, that's what your preferences are going to develop to, if that makes sense to you. I mean, if you do get a Replicant first, from then on, you're learned all your tricks on a big, beefy, heavier knife. So later on, you're probably not going to like the 51 at all, because your preferences developed to a bigger, heavier knife. If you choose the 51 first, your preferences are going to develop to a thinner, lighter knife. So later on, you might not like the big, heavier knives like these, and long, heavy knives like these. You may find that they're great for you. It's the balisong game is big about preference. So the whole question of what flips better is almost unanswerable. But all I can really do is give you specs and have you take it from there. Well, that's pretty much all I have to say about the Replicant versus the 51. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching.